Sorry, we had a message that we had a problem on the live broadcast. I'll start again. Today is Sunday, the 9th of May 2021, and in our series, Call of the Messiah, this is the 37th broadcast. For the last few broadcasts, we've been discussing what does the Quran say about the death of Jesus, and this is the third broadcast in that sub-series. Just to remind you that Lahore Ahmadiyya community was established by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib of Qadian, and his teaching was that although people want to bring at least one more prophet after the Holy Prophet Muhammad, the Holy Quran calls him Khatamun Nabiyyi, and the Holy Prophet explained its meaning by saying La Nabiyya Ba'd. It is very simple. Similarly, people say Ayah Rajam is missing from the Holy Quran and Surah Walayat is missing from the Holy Quran and so on. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib taught that nothing is missing from the Holy Quran. All the prophetic revelation that Hazrat Jibreel brought to the Holy Prophet Muhammad is in the Holy Quran. So it's complete. Some people say some verses of the Holy Quran are abrogated. Again, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib rejected that. He said no verse of the Holy Quran can be abrogated. The Quran is applicable in its entirety until the day of judgment. Muslims also believe, and we see this happening all over the world, and bringing Islam and the Holy Prophet into disrepute, that jihad means that you find a non-Muslim and you grab him, you throw him to the ground and you cut his head off if he doesn't recite the kalima. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad said, this is not what jihad means. He said the Holy Quran says, La ikraha fid din. There is no compulsion in religion. And the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, while returning from fighting, said that from the minor jihad, we return to the major jihad. And then explained that the major jihad is the struggle against our own selves, against our own desires. And he claimed, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib claimed that he was the Mujaddid of the 14th century of Hijrah. But his distinction was that the Holy Prophet had used the words Messiah and Mahdi. And his tombstone said this, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, Rais-e Qadian, Mujaddad Sajjada. Mujaddad Sajjada. That means, and no one objected to that. And that tombstone was put there by Hazrat Maulana Nuruddin, who became the first head of the community. And no one objected for years and years. As I said, we are discussing death of Jesus as described in the Holy Quran. So let me share those verses with you. So let's go to the first one. The first verse is from Ali Imran. And you can see it there in Arabic. And I'll make it bigger just to make sure that there is no confusion. There you are. Is qala Allahu. And Allah said, Ya Isa, inni mutawaffika wa wafi'uka. What did God say? Allah said, oh Jesus, I'll cause you to die and exalt you in my presence and clear you of those who disbelieve, and so on. So here, death comes first. In the Arabic, death comes first. Mutawaffika wa wafi'uka. So, if, as some people say, Jesus is bodily sitting up in heaven, according to the sequence, it is not while he's alive, but after his death. So he said, I shall cause you to die. Now, some people say, well, the wafa means gather up. So this verse means I'll gather you and raise you to my self and so on. Well, the first answer to that is that Hazrat Ibn Abbas interpreted this verse to mean death. And he said that if it's confusing you, then instead of mutawaffika, put there mumita, which is, I'm going to kill you, maut. But wafat, when we say that, when we talk about someone's wafat, no one thinks that that person has been gathered up and bodily taken up to heaven. This is a common expression in Urdu and Arabic and so on. How's his dad? Oh, he had wafat. In English, you say God took him. So what does that mean? That God came down and put him on his shoulders and took him up to heaven? No, it doesn't. Everyone knows by saying that God took him, it means that he died. And this raising is honoring, because it goes on to say that I'll clear you of the charges of those who rejected. If you're going to apply the meanings of these words in the way that our brothers say, then it says kafaru. It says here kafaru. What does that mean? Maulana Muhammad Ali has translated in his Urdu translation as yo kafir, those who are kafirs. This can be translated as those who are heretics. But the Israelites are not regarded as heretics, as kafirs, as non-believers. They're called people of the book. So are you going to literally take this word kafir and use it in that sense? No. Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ali has correctly said, clear you of those who disbelieve, those who rejected your message. So Rafa here is in relation not to the death, but to allegations of non-believers. And we all know what those allegations were. I don't want to repeat them. But you see, you have to take the Holy Quran as a whole. If you go to Al-Baqarah, the same word is used. وَرَفَعَ بَعْضَهُمْ دَرَجَةٍ. And we gave some of them rafa. We lifted some of them above others. So what are you going to say? That there were some prophets who walked on earth, there were some others who floated in air 2 feet above the earth, and then there were others who floated in air 5 feet from the ground. Is that what you're going to say? No. This is God saying that He made some of these messengers to excel others. And He included in them Isa, Jesus, the son of Mary. And it then explains that. And some of them He exalted by many degrees of rank. And that is what is being said in this verse here. When it says, وَرَافِيُكَ, I'll cause you to die and exalt you. How was God going to exalt Jesus? By clearing all the allegations that were being made against him. That's how God was going to raise him. وَرَفَعَ بَعْضَهُمْ دَرَجَةٍ. And some were raised above others. Now, if you're going to say it's literal, what will you do with Surah Maryam verses 56 and 57? First verse says, وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ إِدْرِيسَ. And mention Idris in the book. إِنَّهُ كَانَ صِدِّيقًا مِّن نَبِيٍّ. He was a truthful person, a true prophet. Siddiq, and he was a prophet. He was Siddiq and he was a prophet. A truthful man, a prophet as Hazrat Maulana Muhammad. But then then the Holy Quran goes to say, وَرَفَعْنَهُ مَقَانًا عَلِيًّا. And makan literally means a physical place. So if you're taking this literally, then this verse means, and I lifted him up and put him in a high place. So what was that? Empire State Building? Eiffel Tower? What? Then it says, Rafana. So I took him up. and put him on makanan, on a high, lifted him up to a high place. But of course, it doesn't literally mean picking Hazrat Idris salam up and taking him and putting him on top of Mount Everest. It means that he was honored. We raised him to an elevated state. He was honored. He was raised. But you see, these problems arise because we don't look at the fundamental principle. And that was a reform that Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib made, which was that he said, to determine your beliefs, to find out what the Holy Quran is saying we should do, what we should believe, how we should behave. First, look at the Holy Quran. If you find something in the Holy Quran, then just simply believe it. If you don't find anything in the Holy Quran, then go to Sunnah, the actions of the Holy Quran. Then go to the Hadith of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. Now, you have to remember that the earliest Hadith that was written was nearly a century after the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had passed away. 100 years. And if you look at any hadith, it starts off by, this one said to that one, who said to this one, and who said to someone else, and who told someone else. That the Holy Prophet Muhammad said. This is why Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad said that if you find a hadith, in fact, the Holy Prophet Muhammad himself said that if someone attributes a saying to me and it's against something in the Holy Quran, then I can't have said it. Reject it. The Holy Prophet himself said that. This is his instruction. So, if we look at the Quran, then we saw last week that Jesus was a human being. He needed to eat to survive. And everything else that a human has to do. And if he was a human, then ravages of time will make him weak. His eyesight and his hearing and his bodily strength and so on. So how will he be able to undertake that magnificent task? 2,000 odd years of age. To deny that and find excuses and so on is actually to violate the Holy Quran. It is to violate the Holy Quran. What has happened is simple, that many people who were Christians, they embraced Islam, but they brought many of their own ideas with them. Because, the Holy Quran talks about Jesus. Muslims talked about Jesus. The Holy Prophet talked about Jesus. So they incorporated their own ideas into what Islam was teaching. Maybe it wasn't deliberate. And this is how Muslims came to believe that Jesus was bodily taken up to heaven and will come down. But there are difficulties which are solved in strange ways. The New Testament tells us that a person was put on the cross. Oh, yes, Muslims say, oh, that was Judas. That was his punishment for telling the Romans where Jesus was. But the difficulty with that argument was that we do not, or is, that we do not find Judas screaming and shouting and saying, I'm not the person you come to arrest. He goes, appears before Pilate, and so on. And then, of course, history tells us that later on he committed suicide. But, you know, if you look at the evidence from the New Testament, you find that, all these replies and answers have been made up. Like the Holy Prophet said, La Nabi Abadi. There's no prophet after me. And what do we get? Well, it means no prophet will be born after me. Jesus was born before the Holy Prophet. Or it means that no new prophet can come. Are any of these words in the Holy Quran or in the Hadith? No prophet will be born. And where do we get this thing from to say that Jesus is going to lose his prophethood? Because that's what is said. And people like me, they say, well, the Holy Prophet said, La Nabi Abadi, and here is a prophet after him. So how do you square that circle? Then we tell, oh, well, Jesus will lose his prophethood. It's sort of in a previous incarnation that he was the prophet. Where's the evidence? But there should be something from the Quran to show that, a prophet can lose his prophethood without any fault. Or is there a hadith? Oh, well, it says this and it means that. Well, I don't understand, why did God cause all this confusion? The simple thing is, the first source of our instruction is the Holy Quran. And that tells us that Jesus was a human being, and that tells us that human beings need to eat, etc. And their bodies decay as they get old. So if Jesus up in heaven doesn't need to eat or drink, if his body has not decayed in 2,000 odd years, then what is it? Can't be human according to the rules laid down by the Holy Quran. He must be a part of Godhead, as Christians say. You say it's okay to live in a country where Muslims are in a majority and say things and laugh at them and so on. But remember, there is a world outside where people are going to ask you these questions. So how are you going to answer them? I will answer it very simply. Quran tells me Jesus was a human being. He was born, raised, did his task, and died. And that's the end of the story. The Quran says that so long as he lives, Jesus has to give zakat. So if he's up in heavens, is he still giving zakat? Are they poor in heaven? And then the answer is, oh, no, no, no. If it's needed, well, hang on. The question of need doesn't arise. Quran says you must give zakat. As long as you live, you must give zakat. It doesn't say if people need it, you give zakat. The point is that we are putting ourselves and making it difficult for ourselves to defend and propagate Islam by saying such things. And as I've shown from the Holy Quran, that if you talk about God taking someone, this is a normal, ordinary expression. As I said earlier, rather than say so and so has died, sometimes people say, oh, God has taken him. No one thinks God came down and put him on his shoulder and took him up to heavens, and this person is sitting up in heaven because so and so said God took him. Everyone knows it means that he has passed away. Why we have introduced these complications and confusing things into our religion, which was very simple, which is very simple, I do not know. So remember, a very important reform of the Messiah of the century. Number one, first source of our beliefs and action and knowledge and so on is the Holy Quran. Next comes the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. Then comes the Hadith of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. The Holy Prophet Muhammad himself said, if someone attributes a saying to me and it's against the Holy Quran, then reject it because I can't have said it. Well, that is also a hadith, as much of a hadith as any other hadith. We've lost our place in the world because we have stopped doing things that benefit humanity. That radical revolutionary message and system that the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought, we have forsaken it. We have given it up. And that was why Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib came to re-establish that. This is the end of today's broadcast. Next Thursday is Eid, and whoever you are, whatever sect or school of thought you belong to, I sincerely wish you a very happy Eid. And I pray that all the difficulties and devotions that you have undertaken in the month of Ramadan, may God accept those devotions. Regardless of who you are, where you are, your sect, your school of thought, your nationality, whatever. We'll be taking a break next Sunday because of Eid, and we'll see you the Sunday after that. Eid Mubarak, with a prayer that your fasting is accepted. I take my leave of you. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, and goodbye.